Îyâ Mnathka is a stony Nakota word roughly translated as flat-faced mountain. This is an appropriate name for this striking peak at the eastern edge of the Alberta Rockies, also known as Yamnuska or simply Yam to locals. Interestingly, the mountain was officially dubbed Mount John Laurie in 1961 after lobbying by the Stoney Nakoda First Nations. Laurie was the founder of the Indian Association of Alberta and heavily involved in promoting the causes of First Nations peoples in Alberta. Every year, millions of tourists on their way to Banff and Lake Louise wonder at Yam's incredible wall of stone as they whip past at 115 kph. The limestone cliffs rising sheer and dramatic above the foothills and aspen forests below are over 430 million years older than its lower slopes, thanks to the massive McConnell thrust fault that shaped much of the Front Ranges. There are at least 115 climbing routes up the Cambrian limestone face of Îyâ Mnathka and many hikes on its lower slopes. In addition, there is an extremely popular scramble route that I'm going to show you here. Due to a messed up Google Earth image due to the sheer face of Yam, I can't show the track in any detail other than the broad strokes up Raven's End and down the scree run trail. I guess the north side of the mountain will have to be a surprise for you. Don't worry, it's full of blue markers and signs. If you get lost here, you should probably stick to brunches in Canmore with Aunt Edna on weekends. Morning. I decided it was time to give Yam a look after 20 years since my last ascent in 2004. I wanted to see how much the route had changed, especially chains that have been installed around the crux since my last visit. Despite the several dozen cars in the lot, I continued to enjoy the morning to myself. The trail is extremely well signed with blue markers, signs, and an obvious path. As it finally steepened, there were stone steps cut into the slope and some signs marked climbers only to the left and hiking trail to the right. I strongly recommend that you do this loop counterclockwise. While it's possible, of course, to do it the other way, it would be silly in the extreme. You would be ascending loose scree and exposed to falling rock from the giant face for much longer than on descent. You would also be going against everyone else, never a good idea on a moderate and loose scramble route. Heading up this endless east switchback to the east ridge of Yamnuska. I haven't been up here for many years. I mean, I've been up here to do other peaks like Wendell. I don't think I've been up Yam in over 20 years. Looking forward to it. See what the changes are. Beautiful day, as you can see. Yeah. And Yam's behind me. I am walking away from it at this point. I'll be turning a 180 pretty soon. Finally, the trail turns back towards the peak. Looking a little snowy at this point. Various lookout points along the way make this part of the Raven's End Trail worth a hike on its own in case you're not a scrambler. Many folks get grumpy with the sheer numbers of us crawling like ants over so much of the landscape, but it's hard to find fault with so many wanting to escape the concrete jungle, considering the fact that I've been doing the exact same thing for 25 years now. I say to all those people who lament signs and human-built trails that they should lead the way and stay on the couch all weekend if they expect others to do it. Also, they should probably virtue signal on social media while laying on said couch. My first glimpse of the obvious chimney at the northeast end of the upper stone buttress of Yamnuska reminded me of an important bit of gear I forgot. My microspikes were sitting in my truck back in the parking lot. Oh well, I hoped it wouldn't be a turnaround issue and started up a snow and ice track leading into the chimney. Blue markers dotted the rocks leading through the crack, and a helpful sign at the top indicated that this was the easy bit. Things would only get more difficult from here, so if the warm-up chimney was too hot, you'd be wise to turn around and enjoy descending Raven's End. I decided to take my chances and continued following Dale Simpson up the back side of the mountain.
CMC Valley.
Snow made some sections trickier than others, and for most folks I highly recommend waiting until the north side of the mountain is dry before attempting this route. Experienced alpine hikers and scramblers will not find issue with the amount of snow I had, but any more could be a problem. The route does cross several potential avalanche slopes, and of course the crux area is definitely best done dry. After more than a few false high points and a whole lot of stumbling and bumbling my way along deep tracks in a softening snowpack, I rounded one last corner and realized I was on top of the crux. Despite the chains making things much more secure and safe, this is still a solid moderate on the scrambling scale in my humble opinion. A slip here would injure or kill, and you do yourself a big favor by not underestimating this section or treating it too casually.
I guess across is the way to go, eh?
I just put one hand on the chain, like around the corner, and then it was just fell off.
Oh yeah. I did this when they didn't have chains. Last time. Last time I was here, it was about 20 years ago.
Yeah?
Yeah.
At the summit, I met Dale Simpson, where he told me that he was training for a Courage to Summit, a fundraiser for men's health. He will be attempting 21 summits in 21 days in July, and I encourage you to check out his site and donate to a worthy cause. As someone who has struggled my entire life with various mental health issues, I can attest that the struggle is very real and has very real life consequences too. As a person born in the 70s, I can also attest to the stupid macho attitude that still affects me and prevents me from seeking the supports and help that I probably should.
Nice hole, my guy.
Yeah, nice one.
You too. What's that?
Feeling it a little bit today, but yeah. Ah, nice day. Beauty day.
How do you like those?
I continued on my own down to the southwest end of the route, still following many blue signs and an obvious trail in the snow and scree to the Goat Mountain call. I remembered some down climbing on slabs from 20 years ago near the Goat Mountain call, but there was no such thing. I have no idea where we were in 2004, but nowadays there are 2 signed routes descending from this call. Leaving no room for excuses, the scree route is signed with heavy cautions, not recommended. The call route is the recommended route, but with snow in the trees and being a scrambler at heart, I chose to follow the scree, which is still heavily marked with blue indicators and signs, not to mention a very obvious trail. The Scree Traverse trail runs right under the giant face, looming high above, and is subject to rockfall, both natural and from climbers clinging to their positions in tiny colorful dots. The main bit of advice I can give here is to make sure you wear a brain bucket and don't descend tempting scree too early. Also, don't stop for lunch here.
Hello. Good, how are you? Oh, thank you. Yes.
I traversed quite a bit further than I thought I would under the face before descending loose scree both on and towards an obvious trail far below.
Oh, I must say, that was fun. A little bit of annoying snow on the north side, right where you don't want it, ironically, but typical, right? But other than that, obviously with the chain it's a little easier than what I had before, but I quite enjoyed it. Fun, easy little scramble on a beautiful, warm spring day with birds chirping, not too busy. A few people out, but not many. Wonderful day.
When I set out to repeat Yam 2 decades after my last visit, I wasn't sure what to expect. As I wandered back into the busy parking lot, I realized that I shouldn't have waited so bloody long. This is a highly recommended peak for scramblers properly equipped.